Hey Saber fans, I have quite a few reveals for you today. First off is going to be this Graflex 2.0. This is really loud. Neopixel with CFX. It's kind of hard to see the blaster bolts on camera. This sound font is actually from Kyberphonic. It is called Kyber's Workshop. It's quite awesome actually. It's a free font and he has multiple colors. So you got blue, green, purple, red, white, and yellow. All of the fonts have different sounds. They don't have force effects, but they do have music with them too. And this is the default music for the font. I of course changed it for the other colors. I feel like I'm gonna go save the galaxy with this, you know? I love the fact that it's a free font and it's so good. So, a little bit more about the Saber before I get back into the fonts. It is in TFA config. You have your blank clamp, no Graflex logo. Have the stock clamp card that came with the 2.0. And of course,
bank selection.
Auxiliary underneath it. I do like how it says the colors as well. The feedback on this is really good. You can hear it really well. That turned out fantastic. Same for the activation. Really good feedback. Notice that's got that great power on for green. Anyways, you do have the ground down glass eye down to brass. It doesn't have the brass tabs. Pretty much almost all this was stock except for the glass eye, because this was the kit that came with the 2 thumb screws, you know, for ESB. Now the chassis I used is the Goth 3 Designs chassis. Have your CFX set up for neopixel. All 4 LED pads running to the blade, of course. Have your SD card access right under there. Have your kill key and recharge port there. You can easily just flip it around. And no more power. So you can hear that tactile feedback on the act. Really good. Same for the aux. Really good. Just flip it around again. Or take it out for recharging. There you go, easy peasy. Make sure I put it back in the right way. And this has a Saber Essentials 28mm bass speaker. It's running at 75% as it should, because you don't want to blow it. Since Kyber's Workshop was a free font, I figured it was good to give to clients, and you know, CFX is so easy to customize. You know, you just pop in the SD card and swap the fonts around, change the colors, all that. Profi's, it's getting there. It's not quite as user-friendly as Plector, of course, but you get really cool stuff.
Sound bank selection. Green. Purple.
There's purple. Nice ignition. And since this is purple, I went with Darth Revan's theme. That beautiful glass eye. accurate screw was not included with this. The screw that is included with it is just for static display. So I'll just put a 440 set screw in there for now until the client gets the accurate screw or finds an alternative, whatever the client wants to do.
Sound bank selection. Purple. Red.
And of course I had to go Duel of Fates on this one with a pulsing red blade. You can see the blaster is really good with red. Now, I did the metal version of Duel of Fates. For anybody that's been watching, you may have seen this in my other videos. This is stupid loud. You'll notice these holes are pretty big on the side. I made those bigger. So yeah, see, I think one thing I noticed, I think if you put the saber in mute mode, because, you know, if you restart the song, it goes back to where it was. So if you do it in mute mode with the aux and main, I think it resets the song. No. Maybe I'm thinking of Profi.
Sound bank selection. White.
I really like the white. I went with cyan instead of white, just obvious. It's got that Ahsoka sound to it. I love that. Battle of Heroes. It reminds me a little bit of the Dark Saber font that Kyberphonic has.
Sound
It's
bank
just
selection.
like,
White.
gotta have that on whatever saber I do personally.
Yellow.
Yellow's not bad too. I really like yellow. Pay attention to the ignition on this. Pretty wild. It's almost like a quick delayed ignition for like a staff or even a crossguard, you know. It's a pretty wild ignition. Swings are really, really intricate too, really different. And the track I used the default one. This has a very Old Republic vibe to it. Very like ancient saber. But not, you know, I've heard some ancient saber fonts that just sound like too ancient. It doesn't sound quite like a lightsaber. This seems like it captivates both.
Sound bank selection. Yellow.
Everything else after this is just the defaults. I just replaced the first 6 with those 6. So, you know.
Youngling.
I've always really liked Youngling. Well, let's change that around. So, of course, this has Spectrum. It's got the throttle movement instead of the fan movement. I think blue fits with Youngling. Ooh, there's white. Let's do white. Might as well. And then blade profiles. We got rainbow. Got some crazy unstable. More unstable. That's pretty wicked. With white. Nice pulsing. Pulsing flicker. There's flame. A white flame. That's kind of cool, actually. It's got this subtle flicker on here. You can see it's not smooth swing yet. It's still in the works for the defaults. It's not bad, right?
Sound bank selection. Youngling.
This is General Kenobi.
Oh, of course.
Goodness, you're not one to trifle with, are you?
Big shout out to Aaron Sokalski, Fonts by Fours.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I couldn't remember if I customized the blade on this one or not. It actually does have the staggered bolt on this. Let me put this on red so you can see it a little better. Let's put it back on blue.
This is the last time Cody takes a day off.
Huh, post off.
You can't win. Let negotiations begin. You're wasting your time.
Sound bank selection.
This is General Kenobi.
Audio play. Blue.
And back to blue. This makes me want another Graflex 2.0, I'm not gonna lie. The strips that I used in this are the SK6812 mini strips that are 8mm in width that stock recommends for a lot of the builds. 37-inch length blade. Pretty darn long. You can see it's quite well illuminated from base to tip. The blade depth is really good. I think I wanted to make sure it was below the glass eye for obvious reasons. I think I went with like 1.5 inches maybe, so I mean you got some pretty good blade depth there. One of the free upgrades I did was, putting a Phillips screw right there instead of the typical hex head screw. Oh, there's the chassis again. One thing that does irk me a little bit about the switch holder. Wonder why it's not going. Oh, it's because the switch holder is pressed down. So, for any of you guys who use this, perchance, you can either, stick it to the side with some like double-sided tape, which I might just do that before I send it to the client, but you want to lift it up, push in. You want to make sure that this lever is up too, because anytime I do a clamp, I want to see exactly how tight I can get it and still maintain good insertion. Like, that's pretty tight. It's not loose, it's not overly tight, it's perfect. And I mean, once you clamp it down, it's still solid. So you want to get that dialed in just right. If you tighten it to the max, like I make it in line with that, which is accurate. You can even take it farther. This is mainly, that's that's too bad. If it was the other way, like there, I'd be like, oh, look at that, Rise of Skywalker orientation, but yeah, you can take it farther, but, even accurate, in line with the clamp, it's solid. Absolutely solid. The D-ring, of course, is supposed to be an orientation like that, but that's what we got. The only way you can really fix that would be something I'm not going to do. You could actually freaking Loctite it in place, if you were really gung-ho about it, but I'm not. It'll be fine. The thing with me is belt hanging capabilities. So, I mean, if you wanted to make it flush, you would need to sand down this, like rubbing it on sandpaper, and same on that side. That's what draws the line for me, having to sand that side. Not going to happen. Now, you'll notice I drilled out the holes bigger. Quite a bit bigger than the stock. Stock, I think, is like a 1/16 of an inch. I think I use like either like a 332 or 532 bit, but just look on the inside. Yeah, substantial. You can still use the A New Hope, that's still threaded, but I did make that hole bigger as well as all the other holes. So that really maximized the sound venting, because normally these are pretty quiet. And I think part of the reason is the fact that some of the chassis don't have the speaker at the bottom. They'll have it like up in here for like the night chassis. It looks cool, but it just, when it comes to lightsabers, there's a very easy trend to see. What do people want? They want the loudest, brightest, coolest, most accurate on the market. Period. Most accurate? Definitely not. Very accurate? Yes. I think the most accurate replica is TGS. Roman's second, and of course vintage is top notch. Vintage Graflex, but you get what you pay for, The replicas are very affordable. This empty hilt on eBay and TCSS is like $125. For a saber of this quality, that's pretty good. And, you factor in the electronics, the chassis, the blade, $400 or $500, something like that. So, it gets pricey. It really does. These are really cool. I love how this one turned out. Like, this is really giving me the itch for another Graflex 2.0, just because of how freaking loud it is. Like, that's 75%. You can even feel the vibrations, particularly through this hole. You can feel the force of the speaker. And you can't go without smooth swing nowadays. I mean, this has deep sleep, so you can just see in a month. That's the beauty of deep sleep. And even Profi's getting their deep sleep in order. Low power standby mode, it's pretty good now, and it's only going to get better. But CFX, quality stuff. It's only going to get better. We're in very exciting times to be a Star Wars fan, and a Saber fan too. Let's see. Do I have any huge gripes with this? I think my biggest advice on anybody wanting to build a 2.0, be comfortable with modifying the blade holder. The blade holder takes a lot of modifying. It's, in order to get the glass eye in there, you can probably see the drilling, the silver where the glass eye is. That comes as a 1032 threaded hole, similar to what you'll see on the back side. So you have to either take a drill press or just a drill and get some unibits and just go one at a time. Man, it takes a while, but it's well worth it, obviously. I mean, you see how it lights up on this. It looks absolutely phenomenal. Looks fantastic. I did have to do a lot of modifying to the glass eye for it to work, because the glass eye is from the Graflex shop. Really quality stuff, very accurate, high end. And it doesn't thread into this quite right. It'll get like one, maybe a thread and a half, if that. I don't even know if it's that much, to be honest, but in order to get this to thread in, I just ground down the backside. I mainly, because there's a little lip on it at first, cut that lip off, and then just start grinding away on sandpaper, similar to what I had said for this, just to get it as low as possible. There might be one thread left on this, and then glue the glass eye in place, of course, and thread it on there. As soon as it passes that thread, it just sinks right in, and it is on there. That sucker is not going anywhere unless you need it to get off. Like, you'll probably need to take some loose heat shrink for extra grip, and it's even right now it'd probably be better to loosen all the other screws on here and then take that off, personally, because then that'll get rid of some of that friction. Back to the blade holder. You also have to drill holes for the wires from the activation. So essentially, you got that ribbed column in here, It's very similar to a Luke ribs, grip section on a Luke. Essentially, the blade holder looks like that, you know. So, looking at it in the same way, you have to drill. You pretty much have to. What I did was I used, center punch, drill it a little bit just to make a wire passageway. And then the second one down, I drilled a fairly decent sized hole in for the wires to pass in and underneath the LED module. You will also have to drill a set screw for the LED module as well. Drill and tap, that is. Because, the original set screw for the LED module is like way down here. You're talking like 2-3 inches of blade depth. Way overkill. And plus, getting those wires to pass down closer, less work for you to have to grind down a passage. Of course, if you want to add a accurate screw, have to drill a hole through there as well for the threading to pass through, And of course, you notice this was a fixed chassis, 632 set screws. That's all you need for that. You don't have to drill and tap that, thank God. I think the biggest project is getting the shine through glass eye, which I've seen some people do it and it looks atrocious. Some people do it and it's awesome. Oh, let's see. Is there anything else I need to go over on this? It's 18650 battery. I noticed this likes to get loose a lot. So a little bit of Loctite ain't going to kill it. Blue Loctite, don't use red, because it'll never come out with red. You'll have to drill it out probably. Don't want to do that. I think that's about it. Well, hope you enjoy the video. Till next time, may the force be with you always.